Shalom. First and foremost, we give all praises and glory to Yahweh Shai, Shai, Bishop Kabadash, and to the apostles Jeremiah and Ruel, and shalom to the faithful men continuing doing the work of the Lord. So, Lord willing, I just want to make this real quick video, bringing out a review on a movie, a show, and also quick little dream testimony I had years ago. I already made a video on that, but I'm just going to bring all these things tied together. So, I just watched that Spider-Man New Day, whatever the fuck it was called. Um, and it's pretty decent. Get greatest hero, Spider-Man. All right, you know what I'm saying? But uh, they showed government mind control shit. It's gonna be spoilers, so if you ain't watched it yet. But what I want to mention because the government, what they was called? They was called the damn, I forgot what the fuck they was called. The government like had a own uh little side branch, whatever, some type of military type of thing. I forgot what the fuck, whatever the fuck that was called. All right, the Shadow, I think that was called. So whatever, who gives a fuck? All right, they they was capturing people who have spiritual powers and experiment on them. Of course, it's always the same thing. Why? Because that's what Esau. If he had the power, which he can't, because the girl Jean Grey I was looking like I was kind of like wait, hold on, Jean Grey. I'm like, oh yeah, Jean Grey from X-Men. So I like how they mix like different, they got the Hulk, they got the Punisher, X-Men and that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? But really just Jean Grey and her sister, not the X-Men. It's before she went to the X-Men, I guess. But anyways, she she damn, it's like I lost my train of thought. But yeah, they took her sister because I guess at this time her power wasn't fully developed. So the only thing they can really do was like jump and control people. They all gotta be like 33 meters from each other. Which that's the spirit too. That shows you Freemason 33, meters away that they can jump from one person to the other. But they took the sister, experiment on her, and pretty much killed her. And they try to do the same to her, Jean Grey. But her power got unleashed and she was more powerful. But the government dude, it was a fucking Jake nigga. Now, before I go more into Spider-Man, the dude, the main nigga, he was in the show called Severance. All right. It was a pretty good show. I just finished it like a couple months ago or like a month or two ago. All right. It's about pretty much, you can go to work, but what they do is, guess what? They got to put a micro chip into your brain. So then when you go to work, once you get in like an elevator and then you go to the floor, and then pretty much your brain is going to you're going to severance into a whole different person. Like it's like not a different person. You're going to be the same person, but it's like you're not going to remember when you at what you did at work. You know what I'm saying? It's like you made like a different account in your own brain. So you're working, but then once you clock out, your brain is gonna switch back to your regular person, then so you can go home. So when you go home, go to work, you're not gonna remember work. You're just gonna go in the elevator and you're just gonna walk right back out, pretty much. But your other self was in there for 8 hours, whatever, however long, and he was in that show too, and he was pretty much acting the same, like he was like your boss, trying to smiling and happy, and but then this nigga the whole time was a demon. You know what I'm saying? This nigga was you know, he knew what was going on. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I was like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? But But that just shows you, you know what I'm saying? Like Esau, you know, he's showing these different things, the microchip, the government experiments, you know, you know, different things like that. All right. And that's what Esau will try to do. You know, he's trying to experiment on us, you know, and then that's why I want to add to one more thing to a quick testimony to a dream I had years ago. Like when I first came to the truth, I had a hella dreams about martial law and the Lord giving me spiritual powers and delivering me out of all them situations. I had times where multiple times I was in concentration camps, and one time the Lord made the whole building fall, and I was the only one that survived. The whole building just collapsed. I remember one of the elites, they came and visited me in prison, and his skin is like he just transformed, like his just true self appeared, and he was like extremely red, like damn near it looked like his skin was kind of bleeding but wet. Like it was weird. It was nasty, bro. It was gross. And I remember I was like putting my head in my lap, like trying to like think hide my face from him or something. But he was being all weird, and he tried to put his head like under so he can see me in my eyes and shit. It was creepy, bro. And I don't remember what he was saying to me, but he was just kept trying to bother me and talk to me. And I kind of was just trying to just like annoy him. I wasn't really answering him. And so then not too long after that, the Lord just made the whole building just fall and collapse. And I was the only one that survived, and I just walked out and I was praising the Lord. You know what I'm saying? But there was another time I was in there. I can't remember everything, but I remember the building looked just looked white. Matter of fact, it kind of looked like the building off of Severance, because the building in Severance, it was just all white. It was that movie, that show is a little weird. Like it shows you just how plain and dull the work life is. You gotta watch it. It's a good show. It's like 2 seasons. But that's funny. Now I'm thinking about it. The building actually does look like that building a little bit. It look all white. And it's like, you know, I'm rambling. I'm just kind of just trying to bring all the information out real quick. But so uh I was in there, and then the Lord gave me spiritual powers, and I started escaping. I remember I kicked down this big ass door. It was a big ass metal fucking, you know, door, and I kicked that motherfucker down, and I was just running. I remember it was a girl or something. I like you know, I was defending myself, so I took her out. You know what I'm saying? I can't remember everything, but I remember I was running out, and then they shot me for tranquilizer, and that's what they showed in that movie Spider-Man. They you know, they took out Sarah Grader, her sister, but for really both of them went for tranquilizer. You know what I'm saying? I remember they caught me, and then I was like dozing off, and I was like in the back of a pickup truck, and I remember I'm hearing as I'm falling asleep, the troops was like, man, is he an alien? Like, you know what I'm saying? They was amazed at the spiritual powers. You know what I'm saying? But in reality, you know, they're not gonna be able to touch us. They're not gonna be able to experiment on us. Well, maybe they will catch certain of us, and they because you know, when the shit hit the fan, we're not gonna be have spiritual powers all the time. When we get in the kingdom and get those new bodies, then we're gonna have new body spiritual powers all the time. But while we still here in these flesh, we're not gonna have spiritual power all the time. So maybe he will fucking experiment. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure he will. Cause what the scripture says, he gonna torment us and torture us. You know what I'm saying? So I can see that Esau can probably try to experiment, like, oh man, well, we seen you heal this person, and so how did you do it? You know, they're gonna be torturing us. And let me see, that's the spirit. I went right to it. Wisdom of Solomon 2:19. Let us examine him with despitefulness and torture, that we may know his meekness and prove his patience. Right, let us examine him. You know, and that's what Esau. That's what he does. He's a mad scientist. You know, look what he does with nature now. This nigga, he does experiments on animals, people. You know, there's an audio of how they was drilling holes in owls, I believe it was. I know it was some type of bird. I think it was owls. And you could just hear, them screaming. They drilled holes in their ears or some shit for something. And then you could just hear them screaming, and I believe it's on YouTube. I don't know. But I remember hearing it, and he's just torturing them, man. But real quick, I want to bring out this word, and Lord willing, I'm gonna try to. I'm not try, Lord willing, I'm gonna do a video on this soon, because I made mention of this a few times. But it's called biomimicry. All right, is the practice of learning, because bio means life, and mimic, you mimic something, you're copying it. Okay, so it's the practice of learning from and copying natural design, shapes, processes, and systems from plants, animals, and microbes to which is small living, things, creatures. All right, to solve human engineering and design challenges. Okay, going back to Spider-Man, I think what was Spider-Man's first villain? According to comic book, I heard it was Lizard, the lizard nigga. You know what I'm saying? And you seen that in Amazing Spider-Man. The nigga had a one arm, and then he tried to inject himself with the genes of a lizard, and he turns into a fucking lizard. You know what I'm saying? So, and that shit real, man. But he ain't Esau ain't doing that shit on himself as of yet. He experimented that shit on people first, animals, and that shit not working. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. And then once he trying to perfect it, because he's trying to become God, pretty much. He's trying to make his own blessing. It says an example is bullet trains. It says Japan's Shinkanshi high-speed trains modeled their front noses after the beak of the kingfisher bird to reduce noise and pressure waves when exiting tunnels. Right, and another thing is I bring that out a lot too, is a thing called matter of fact, I gotta look up this jellyfish name, because it's called an immortal jellyfish. Okay. It says it can completely reverse his life cycle from a mature adult back to a juvenile pulp. Let me see, hold on. Salakia. All right. And it says what? Hold on. Oops. The pronunciation. Hold up. Why the hell is this shit not working? Polyp. Salakia. Polyp. That's how you pronounce it, I guess. Which what the fuck is that? Is is a cluster of clump of cells that grows on the inside living lining of body tissues or organs. That's crazy. Anyways, it's a stage when stressed or injured. Okay, so and what did Esau do? He try to take this animal and trying to, bio mimicry and figure out the what's that shit called? To live forever and live in immortality. Okay. Let me see. It says engineers and scientists study this cell blueprint to innovate regenerative medicine, tissue repair. All right. Let me see. So in other words, they're just trying to live forever. So the Esau is trying to do this, trying to figure it out. How does he do it? So we can inject into ourselves so we can live forever. All right. So yeah. So that's what Esau is trying to do. He's trying to what's it called? Salaka. He's trying to, well, pretty much I can see that. I never really thought about that. But now I'm really thinking about it, that makes sense. Like I can see Esau doing that. He probably gonna capture certain of his like because what the scripture says, what Yahushua did, we're gonna do even greater. Brothers gonna be doing miracles. Brothers gonna be performing spiritual powers and different things like that. So I can see Esau capturing some of us and testing, like, how the fuck you did this? Like, how did you, you know, what's different? Like, they probably gonna try to torture us and examine us, do tests and shit like that. I can see that. He gonna torture us either fucking way. But for that reason, I never really thought about that. That makes sense because look at all these different movies. Like again, the Spider-Man movie, and that's not just that. You got all kinds of movies like Superman and X-Men, and they trying to make some type of weapon to fight against these mutants or superhumans and all that other good shit. But the thing is, we when the Lord gives us these new bodies, we ain't gonna have no weaknesses. The only weakness that we have right now is sin. That's the reason why Esau can kill us and torture us, and sometimes we can feel pain and whatever because of sin. But once the Lord take away sin, it's like we're not gonna, there ain't gonna be no weakness. Your technology is not gonna work at all. It's not gonna work. The classics, Isaiah 54:17. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Right, so no weapon at all. And Esau got shit that have not been revealed to the public. The shit that he revealed to the public is already some crazy shit, man. You got a sniper or a big ass bullet. I don't know what the fuck. I'm not good with guns, but I know it's a sniper, and I believe also I think maybe a 50 cal, whatever the fuck. You brothers out there that know that shit. There's bullets out there that you can shoot that it don't even gotta touch you. It can just be close to you, and it can still rip off your fucking arm or some shit. Machine guns can turn you into to pink mist. And and there's other weapons. The brother Daniela, he I think he was in Pittsburgh. He was telling me a weapon called the Voice of God, where Esau can pretty much, which I gotta go into it again. So I watched the video that he made of it. But pretty much he can like inject voices into your mind, and you think you're hearing a voice, but it's really Esau doing that shit to you. I believe it was called Voice of God. So yeah, and there's other shit. A thermonuclear missile. I mean, imagine a thermonuclear, and that's a spirit. I was just watching Russia. They were sending a message to the world, and then they showed a missile head, You know what I'm saying? And you got somebody in the comment board. Because it was in a big ass room. It was like just a missile head. It wasn't, or what's it called, a warhead. You know what I'm saying? And then somebody in the comment board was scoffing like, "Oh, that's that's that what's that shit called? That's that Tom and Jerry type weapon." They was just scoffing because how small it was. But then I was just thinking. At first, I was like, they have this big ass room, this little ass. But then I was like, no, that's a warhead. Because where's a warhead? Warhead is the front explosive, toxic, or nuclear payload section of a missile, rocket, torpedo, or bomb. Okay, so and I believe the missile silo is the rest of the body. That's longer and way bigger. You know what I'm saying? Uh, so you know what I'm saying? Why are you scoffing at? Like, even if it's a small weapon, that can destroy a. I don't know what kind of missile, because I don't know those different dumb looking missiles. You know what I mean? Who knows? That could have been Satan 2, which Satan 2, that shit can destroy the whole state of Texas with one missile. So ain't nothing really to scoff at. But anyways, Esau got some shit out there. But once we get these spiritual powers, he ain't gonna be able to hurt us at all. Bullets, mind control devices, and whatever. And I was thinking about something too, because when Jean Grey, when her power got expanded, it's like she can sense more things. Even Peter, when because he got a little bit stronger. He can sense more things. It was way more heightened. And I was just thinking, like, when we get spiritual powers to the point where we can see even to like the atoms and different layers, and our senses is gonna be so high. It's just like I'm thinking, like, we're gonna be able to see the pollution in the air. Um, Let me look something up. Right, I wanted to look up. Says I looked up. Can you see pollution in the air with a microscope? Yes, you can see solid or liquid air pollution particles known as uh percolate matter using a microscope. All right. Certain light microscope can easily spot larger particles like dust, ash. Uh, an electron microscope is required to see the smallest, most dangerous microscopic fractions. Right, and I'm seeing pictures of this shit. Just look up this shit. I'm using two phones, so Slovakia. But just look up the shit. Pollution under a microscope. Imagine when we get spiritual powers, the shit that we gonna see in the air and in the water, and look at this shit, man. Oh, not that. Damn, it says China pollution. Smoke cluster from Amazon. Dust in the US. Damn, I gotta make a video on this one. So, yeah, man. I just thought about that. I'm like, man, imagine when we get these spiritual powers and we be able to, everything is gonna be heightened. It's like we're gonna be able to see, because we can literally see pollution. We can see how the water is polluted, and we can see smoke and all of that shit. But imagine when our eyes are are heightened. We're gonna be able to it's literally all in the air. Like, we're gonna be able to see. Imagine when we're gonna see what they call it, the microplastics that's in people's bodies. Like, man, this shit gonna be bugged out, man. You know. But anyways, going back to what I was talking about earlier, man. Yeah, man, Esau gonna do that. He gonna try to experiment on us. He gonna try to capture us. He gonna try to destroy us. Use our power so he can use it. And what he gonna do it for? A fucking weapon. That's what he always does. I mean, sometimes some technology he uses is for good, but a lot of the technology really Jake made it. When Jake make technology, we make it to make a job easier, to make something be done faster or easier or whatever. Esau, the main time when he makes technology, you know, what do he do with it? He wants to make it a fucking weapon. Because that's his blessing. What is the sword? All right, But it says, no, that was it. Not go back to Isaiah 54:17. And every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment, thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of Yahweh, and their righteousness is of me, saith Yahweh. So right, so this is our heritage, man. This is not something that we gotta go take animals and split them open and do all kinds of experiments and torture them and kidnap humans. We don't gotta do that like Esau. Esau, he's a weirdo. He's a mad scientist. He's that nigga from Base Motel. I believe he was doing that, taking animals and cutting them open. Jeffrey Dahmer and shit, trying to make a zombie, trying to make his little boy lovers last forever. So he put acid in their ear and brain, whatever the fuck. Weird shit, man. But we don't gotta do that. This is our heritage. This is what the Lord's just gonna give us as a gift. And we're gonna receive as a reward at the end. We're gonna just be able to just to have spiritual powers to do these things. All right, because we're gonna do it the right way. Esau, you will never have that power ever at all. You just always be a little boy with his little devices and toys and shit. A little nerd, man. Which ain't nothing wrong with being smart, but that's as far as you're gonna go. Just that little weird, nerdy, mad scientist that just a creep, got dead bodies in the basement and shit. And us, we just got that natural blessings from Yahweh Shah. All right, so yeah, man, that's pretty much the point. It was a good movie, brothers should watch it. Like the apostle said, we are Superman, but we Spider-Man too, pretty much. With great power comes great responsibility, and yeah, man. So yeah, Lord willing, hopefully that was edifying. We give all praises and glory to Yahweh Shemel Shabbos from Dash. The bounce to the apostles, Jim as Ruel. Shalom to the brothers from this Royce. Time to say Shalom.